Don't do it again.
Okay, we're live again.
Yeah.
So,
did we make it? Are we back?
Orville just
back.
bitch slapped us across the face. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I know.
Come on, Seth. Come on, dude.
Come on, Seth.
Yes,
we're promoting your show, man.
Sorry about that, everyone. I even wrote that in the. I'll write that in the chat. So, let's continue. Let's continue episode 2 of Identity. So, the battle has already erupted, and the Union has lost 32 ships, and the Kalon have only lost 6. And Admiral Halsey's cruiser. I mean, we see from the footage that that his ship is under damage too, and we learned that the Quimby was destroyed, and the Orville's getting their butts kicked too. It's crazy. Like it's freaking crazy as hell. So we find out that I think a small portion of ships are trying to go to Earth. They're trying to get to Earth.
Yeah,
to destroy it or something.
Yeah, that's the assumption, is to destroy it. I mean, obviously, how with only that few ships, I don't know, but that's the assumption that you get. That you get. Yeah, it's like a half dozen ships or something like that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to share my screen. So basically, when all hope seems to be lost, what do you think happens?
Sound the trumpets.
Mm-hmm.
Heroes have arrived.
And who are the
heroes? Came in with the clutch.
And who are the heroes?
Praise Avis.
For the glory of Avis.
Should we tell them that their god is a 21st car rental company?
Oh, yeah.
You just see a big Avis logo just exiting quantum flip space.
So I thought it was super awesome to see Gordon in a Krill fighter. That was amazing. Like I laughed and I was like, I had goosebumps. Like that was so awesome. So we have fighters in the Orville now.
Time to wash out your mouth with Gordon.
I like just a walk in the park, Krasinski. Just a walk in the park.
and he looks at the other, Krill pilot and nods and.
And what does Captain Dalek say to Ed? He says Avis has brought us together for a reason. I was like,
something like that. Yeah.
Yes, to rent a car.
Yes. I have rented from Avis. I honestly have rented from Avis.
So
I have too. I still get emails from them from time to time.
You used to get emails from Avis? He must think you're special.
Do you know? I should rent from Avis, and then when they're like, "Have a good day," I should be like, "Avis has been good to me today."
So
be like, what? Just be like, "Watch the Orville, you'll get it."
So they managed to take out those ships that were heading to Earth. And because of the combined forces of the Krill and the Union, the Kalon are forced to retreat. So the Kalon, the Kalon fall back, and Earth is saved for another day. And so a victory is at hand, but but this victory had cost. A lot of ships were destroyed. A lot of people died, and Isaac no longer has Isaac. Basically, everybody wants, or at least Admiral Halsey and the Union, they want Isaac deactivated like right away. And what's so awesome is that Ed and Kelly both appeal to Admiral Halsey to keep him on, since he was the reason that they were able to warn. That he was the reason they were able to that the rest of the crew of the Orville was alive and saved them. So. It's one of those. It ends on a bit of a sad note. I think Claire is talking to Isaac. Isaac, I don't know if Isaac feels guilty, but he knows that what he did cannot quite be undone. And I think Claire basically talks to him and says that, you know, forgiveness is something that takes a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the way that Isaac and the way everybody vouches for him definitely shows that what he did won't be forgotten in terms of how he betrayed the crew, but he has enough of their trust to where they're like, you know what, we're still willing to stand shoulder to shoulder with you. You just have to, you have to earn our respect again.
Yes, Isaac basically is saying he no longer has a home and stuff. And I think this is
Odo.
Yeah. So, and I love this. I love how she replies. She literally says, I understand you're alone in the universe. And for a time, that's something you'll have to live with. There's an old human custom called forgiveness. It, too, takes time, but it must have a beginning. Good night, Isaac. And that's basically how the episode ends.
Yeah.
And
it's
I do. Oh, guys, I could not believe how blown away I was by this. By this, just watching this 2-parter. Like, I literally called my friend and said, "This is probably the best thing I've seen in years on TV." And I felt like to me right away it was a combination of best of both worlds, at least how best of both worlds should have been, and the battle in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot of weight in it. Even there was, you know, a few lighthearted moments and everything like that, like during the battle and whatnot. But there was a lot of weight. The visuals were just outstanding for a show. And again, I don't think the budget on this show is anywhere near like what CBS puts into Star Trek, yet what they did was just incredible. Just the performances, I mean, everything. I was on the edge of my seat, and I mean that literally. Like, I cracked open a beer and I'm like, all right, I'm going to drink a beer and watch this. The beer was warm. I didn't even touch the beer. I had taken one sip of it, and then I was on the edge of my seat during the 2-parter.
Your eyes were focused on you were completely focused. You were completely sold. You're completely in the episode, and yeah, you weren't going to be distracted by something like beer.
Nope.
It reminded me of Sacrifice of Angels. You know, you're on the edge of your seat in that episode too, especially when the Federation is getting their butts whooped.
Yeah, you're like, are they gonna be successful in retaking DS9? Yeah. And yeah, I mean, like, even just the Dominion and the Alpha Quadrant alone were more than a match for them. But when when the Defiant gets there, they just go into you realize there's like thousands of more ships in the Gamma Quadrant.
Yep.
And so like they're in between two massive fleets, and you're like, what the hell? And what do? They appeal to the prophets, and those ships and those thousands of ships in the wormhole disappear.
I mean, because Cisco's, he's ready to make a last stand in the Defiant, because he says, arm all torpedoes, divert all power to shields forward. Basically ready, like, we're going to make our last stand here. We go down. We're taking as many of you with us as we can. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah, and you're like, how is this going to end? You're like, what's going to happen here?
And then remember Ducat's face when he saw the Defiant come out of the wormhole, and Wayun is even like, where are the ships?
And then Ducat is having like the biggest Cardassian panic attack probably ever seen on screen.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Cisco's going to smack me upside the head.
So not only does that happen, but at the same time, his daughter Zial is basically
she's murdered by.
She's murdered.
Yeah, Damar murders her.
He loses his sanity. He doesn't even bother to retreat with them. He just stays. He stays behind, and he gets captured.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sacrifice of Angels is probably the best comparison to this, because in the same way that you don't know how the Federation is going to come out of this battle on top. Same way with the Union. And then just like the Krill come in the 11th hour, the Klingons came in at the 11th hour. and help turn the tide of battle. I mean, it was almost Sacrifice of Angels, almost to a T. In a way.
And this predates the Romulan involvement, because I don't think we got to we didn't get to In the Pale Moonlight yet. I think that was later in the season.
It was later in the season.
Yeah, with the
it's a fake.
Yep, it's a fake.
Just like current Trek, it's a fake.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but that's a reality that we have to live with. So,
current Trek? You mean that that alternate reality stuff that shouldn't exist?
That sci-fi series that likes to call itself Star Trek, but it isn't Star Trek. It's just, a platform.
Barf Trek.
It's generic science fiction. So part one was written by Brandon Braga and Andre Bormanis, and this part two was written by Seth MacFarlane himself. Wow. Seth took this episode on himself.
And okay, you know what? Now knowing this, my respect jumped up like tenfold, because the fact he wrote this episode and again had everything you wanted in a great sci-fi show. Yeah, I mean the man's a nerd, true and true now, in my opinion. I deem you an official nerd if I didn't before.
Mm-hmm.
More so than you, Kevin Smith.
Mm-hmm. I mean, all you have to really do is watch the TNG Blu-rays. All you have to do is watch the TNG Blu-rays to know how big of a fan Seth MacFarlane is. He's probably not being paid for what he's doing. He's taking time out of his really busy schedule to help do the special editions, the special features of the TNG Blu-rays. So I was impressed. Also,
Brandon Braga, think about it. The Orville for him is probably redemption for stories that he probably wanted to do on Voyager, but couldn't.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
Yeah, so I think like Brandon Braga and Andre Bormanis, I mean, they're there. They write probably a couple episodes a season. I don't think they're as deeply. According to what I've read, they're not as deeply involved in it. But I mean, obviously, like Seth has basically, like I've been saying in basically every Tuesday night Trek stream, there's a bit of a passing of the torch here. It's from one era of Trek to this. There was no passing of the torch from Rick Berman's era to Discovery. I mean, the closest thing we would have gone was Brian Fuller, but they fired Brian Fuller. He was no longer on the show, and they replaced him with Alex Kurtzman. So Alex Kurtzman kind of took the reins, and Alex Kurtzman has not worked.
They skipped over Seth MacFarlane. They interviewed him, but they just didn't want him.
He pitched an idea for a Star Trek series, and Les Moonves rejected it.
I want to. Where can I find? Is there more information? I want to read about that. Where's there information about that? I'd like to.
I will look it up.
That. I mean, Seth MacFarlane was in an episode of Enterprise. I mean, for God's sakes, he's in an episode of Enterprise.
Yeah, he's one of Trip's engineers.
Yeah, and he's only got a few, like maybe 2 or 3 lines at most, but it's, I mean, again, just to explain how big of a nerd he is. When Seth MacFarlane did A Million Ways to Die in the West, he even had a Back to the Future 3 cameo point in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I
have not seen that one. I've not seen Million Ways to Die in the West.
It's funny. I love that movie. I like a good super over the top comedy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone dies once. Everyone dies in the West.
I'm wondering if it's basically like a parody of Once Upon a Time in the West. The classic.
I've never seen that, so I can't speak to that. It's basically just like Seth MacFarlane lives in the West, and basically it's just this over the top about how everything will kill you, everything will kill you, and there's a story laced into that, and it's so over the top. It's star studded. I mean, it's the humor in it is crass, but
Yeah.
It's so funny. I mean, Liam Neeson plays like the legendary gunslinger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
here's one thing: there is a connection between Once Upon a Time in the West and Back to the Future Part 3. Back to the Future Part 3 mirrors the shot. You know that shot when you see like the like at the end of Part 2, they have like a little trailer showing Part 3, showing clips of Part 3 and stuff. Well, remember that shot of we see 1885 Hill Valley from the top and stuff. We see we see the entire thing. They had that exact same type of shot in Once Upon a Time in the West when Claudia Cardinal gets off the train and she enters the city. I saw that. I was like, holy crap. I've seen that. I was like, holy crap, I've seen this before. So yeah, that was just a random thing I've noticed. So but yeah, I loved I mean, I feel McFarlane is like he's earned he's earned a lot of respect from the fans, and he, based on what people have said about like how he treats how he treats the fans, he's relatively good to the fans. He doesn't act like a jerk or anything.
Anyways,
I have heard that, yeah.
In this article, I'll go ahead and post the link in the chat, but in this article it mentions Seth's pitched idea for Star Trek, because right here in this paragraph it says, fact is that Orville started out as a Trek pitch. Shortly after completing TED 2, Seth MacFarlane pitched a new Star Trek series to CBS directly to Les Moonves. Moonves himself rejected the pitch. MacFarlane took some time, retooled the pitch, and eventually offered it to his friends at Fox. So Les Moonves, the man who killed Enterprise, tried to kill this before it even began.
Mm-hmm. So Les Moonves
have the worst taste in cinema.
Les Moonves is the reason why Star Trek is not the same.
Honestly, I'd say Star Trek is dead. I mean,
I blame Les more than Alex Kurtzman, because Alex Kurtzman, is another person just filling his role, but at the same time, he's not helping with his wacky ideas.
Yeah. It's. I mean, because I think, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we speculate what the rest of Enterprise would have looked like in terms of like where the show would have gone at one point?
Yeah, they would have gone directly into the Earth-Romulan war that was brought up in Balance of Terror.
Mm-hmm. Because
Jeffrey Combs would have been added to the cast in season 5. That was something that they were going to do.
And I think they were going to introduce more ships. They were going to introduce more NX ships, I think. I think we got what was the name of the second one? The Challenger? Was that the name of the
Columbia.
second one? Columbia. Sorry.
Columbia.
I get my ships mixed up. Sorry.
Because the These Are the Voyages, the series finale, that takes place post Romulan War, because they talk about the Warp 7 engine and whatnot.
Yeah, Enterprise takes place in 2151, the first season, and then season 4 takes place in 2154 to 2155. The final, when the Federation gets formed, that whole ceremony takes place in 2161. So I don't know. It makes me wonder if they were hoping for a 10-season show.
Well, you could have done it in 7 seasons, I think.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
7, maybe 8, but I don't know if you go 10 seems a bit of a stretch to me.
Yeah, I don't. Yes, I can agree with that. So, but what I think would have happened was season 4 is building up the whole Romulan thing, and season 5 I think would have built further into the war, into conflict with the Romulans, and then the Vulcans would be divided. We understood that. In that season 4 Vulcan 3-parter, and Spock, I'm sure you already know this because you're a Vulcan. The Vulcan command, what is it called? The Vulcan command is in cahoots with a couple of Romulan officials that we see at the end of that 3-parter. So that was obviously meant to build to something that unfortunately never happened.
Yeah.
And Enterprise, remember, I don't know if you remember, but there was a big petition to get Netflix to continue Enterprise, like back in like 2012, 2013.
I heard about this. Yeah.
And fortunately, nothing materialized out of that.
I mean, the problem is that for the, I mean, how would that work rights wise? Because if Netflix were to do that, they would need they would need to get all rights to anything Enterprise. Well, even then, you can't even go then because Enterprise is another Star Trek thing. So Netflix would have to get all Star Trek rights to continue it. I think.
Yeah,
they would have had to talk to CBS about that because CBS had the rights to all the television series. Paramount had all the rights to the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And isn't there like in Paramount and like so like anything related to like isn't everything related to classic Trek like CBS cannot use or something? I forget what the
Paramount
I forget what the deal
use.
is.
Paramount couldn't use anything connected to the original series unless they came to an agreement where things would be. And yes, some people say this isn't true, but it's obviously true. 25% different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, Trek. I mean, some people say that Trek was. I've heard some people say in some of the nerd groups I used to be a part of that Trek was already kind of teetering out. Like it had its heyday in the '90s, and then Enterprise was just like it was teetering out. I told them, I said, honestly, you watch season 4 of Trek of Enterprise, guarantee you, it wouldn't have been that way.
Manny Koto was doing a great job in season 3 and season 4. He was the main person running Enterprise at that time. It was Les Moonves that pulled the rug out from under them and said, "No mas."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because the problem is that if I guarantee you, if Moonves hadn't done what he did, Trek would not be what it is today. You still might have the JJ movies, but you wouldn't have Discovery and you wouldn't have Picard, you wouldn't have Lower Decks, you wouldn't have, Prodigy, I think is the other animated one. You wouldn't have any of these new TV series. You'd still get the JJs because remember, that's 25% different, so that's okay. But that would be an anomaly, but it wouldn't be what we would know as Trek.
Yeah.
And Rick Berman retired after Enterprise was canceled.
Yeah, he was like, I think he was already like 60s.
He should come to Orville, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I don't know what he'd do. I mean, Berman was very, very strict about what Roddenberry wanted and stuff. So I'm sure you guys know this, but Rick Berman was hands off when it came to Deep Space Nine, but he was not hands off when it came to Voyager. Hence why Voyager was the way it was, which was TNG light, as opposed to something like, as opposed to Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
I still like some people view Voyager as, a silly show, not in the same universe. The setting is just, to me, it's just, it feels like a continuation from The Next Generation, just with a different crew, because the way it's directed, the way it's written, obviously you get the silly episodes, but it feels like an extra 7 seasons.
Okay, I got an email from YouTube. So basically, it just says streams are interrupted when copyrighted content is detected. After copyrighted material is no longer being streamed, streams are automatically re-enabled. Oh, so I guess I didn't have to. I don't know if I guess I didn't have to start a new broadcast.
Oh, I guess not.
Oh well.
I guess, yeah. Lesson to be learned for the future.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Getting back to Rick Berman, he didn't want Ira Stephen Bear and the writing staff of DS9 to take DS9 in the direction that they went in. But it was Ira's persistence that paid off for all of us, and Deep Space Nine went in the direction we saw it go into.
Mm-hmm. Now, was he the showrunner the whole time, or was it like originally like Michael Piller and then Ira Bear took over?
It was originally Michael Piller, and then after Piller left, Ira took over.
Do you know what season he took over?
I think it was season 3, because I think it's somewhere in season 3 you start seeing consultant Michael Pillar instead of executive producer Michael Pillar.
Because I can tell you exactly when TNG started going down, and that's when Jerry Taylor took over as showrunner after Michael Pillar left in season 5. So Michael Pillar was the reason why we got more character-driven episodes that continued in like season 3, seasons 4 and 5, and then after that.
And the reason why he left in season 5 is because they were working on Deep Space Nine.
Yes.
Same thing you can notice on Deep Space Nine when some of the writers left Deep Space Nine to start working on Voyager. You can always see the shift. And for Deep Space Nine, it worked out very well. In Voyager in season 7, you can tell when there's another shift because some of the writing staff and producers left for Enterprise.
Right.
So if I remember correctly, I think Brandon Braga took over as showrunner for Voyager for the final seasons, for like seasons 4 through 7, I think. And Jerry Taylor ran Voyager from seasons 1 to 3, I think.
I believe that's correct.
Hence why, why was it Ensign Vorik, who was played by her son, Alexander Enberg, and he was at the Vegas. I saw him at the Vegas convention.
Right on.
Yeah, that's why his character vanished after Jerry Taylor left. So she was the reason why he was in the show. I mean, yeah, if your mom was the showrunner, wouldn't you be on the show? Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Put on some Vulcan ears and I'll be a Vulcan.
Vulcan wig.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I have to call it a night. Getting pretty tired here. I have to get up for work early tomorrow, but this was fun. I had a great time discussing these 6 episodes with you guys.
Wow, you go to bed early. It's only 9 p.m. for you. It's 11 p.m. for me, and I'm still.
Yeah, I'm still. What can I say?
All right, well,
after midnight here for me.
Well, Spock, do you have anything you want to plug before you leave? Shamelessly.
Yeah. Here, I'll go ahead and share this. This won't get us strike down. This is a new show I have coming out on the channel. It is Star Trek the Episodic Series, and it's featuring all of the episodes from Star Trek Online in sequential order, and they're all going to be cinematically recorded, as well as voice acted by fellow Vulcan Science Academy members. Mike from Pacific 414 is voicing a Vulcan in this episode. That is very grateful that we have saved him. And there's a lot of other people. Purple Valkyrie is the captain of the show. And we have a couple of my other good close friends who are voicing the bridge officers. So make sure and stay tuned for that. That's going to be released pretty soon.
And what about a certain Nerdporeal kind of guy?
Oh, buddy, you know it. I'm going to have you for a character that's in this series that's pretty, non-corporeal. So it's perfect fitting for you.
Interesting. Can't wait. So if anybody is wondering, Spock has his own channel. It's called Spock's Friday Nights. So if a Modporeal would be so kind to put his link up, I'd say subscribe to Spock's Friday Nights. And before you go, right before one more thing for you, Spock, what would you rank? What would you rank Identities Parts 1 and 2? How would you rate them?
So Identity Part 1, I would rate that a 10 out of 10, easy, and same for Part 2. I think those are very, very straight away. Like, you can tell that a lot of work went into these episodes. Same with the story, because the writing just was seamless throughout every transition. Suspense was built. You even felt a fear from seeing the Kaelon board the ship. So they really presented that well, as well as the practical effects that they've been using. So I hope to see more like that in season 3, because the Orville for me has been nothing but a 10 out of 10, if not an 11 out of 10. So,
and this is coming from Spock, the science officer, the dispassionate member of Kirk's crew. So if he's saying that, then you got to check it out. So,
you got to check it out.
So, all right, Spock, have a good night.
You two guys live long and prosper. See you all soon.
See you soon, brother.
You too. So what about you, Mike? What would you do you have anything you want to plug?
Well, I mean, you all can watch my quick takes on episode 1 and episode 2 of Boba Fett. I know some people don't like my reaction to episode 2, but you know what? It's my reaction. So it is what it is.
So, Pacific, don't you have this thing called a channel?
What do you mean? What do you mean? I mean, you want me to shamelessly plug my channel where I talk about pop culture sometimes during the baseball season I talk about baseball?
Well, I mean, if I can handle being shameless, I'm sure, I can handle you being shameless. So, I mean, I am a shameless Nerdporeal life form. And that's an idea. I'm gonna make some merch of that. I'm gonna monetize that. I'm gonna monetize that insult. So okay. So yeah. So Pacific, you have a channel. So what's any new upcoming projects or anything?
Well, if it was worth me actually doing a full review, I would be giving a full Pacific 4 episode review Boba Fett, but right now with the first 2 episodes, I've been doing something new called quick takes, which are my versions of shorts, but they don't always qualify under YouTube shorts. But it's my quick reaction to a movie or an episode of a TV show or things that are going on. So I'm trying something different.
That's awesome. Think outside the box. Always try to get new ideas out there. That's why I'm continually trying to do on my channel. So everybody, it would be very logical of you to subscribe to that large body of salt liquid Pacific 414. And remember, never call if you ever call him Atlantic, he will get upset. He'll get triggered. So don't send him an Atlantic article at all. Actually, I don't know. I don't know how you feel about that. I was just, because Atlantic is the opposite of the Pacific.
I'm just laughing here, brother. Taking it all in stride.
So how would you rank Identities Parts 1 and 2?
Honestly, I love these episodes so much. They're both 10s out of 10.
Okay, so you don't like it as much as Spock, because Spock says he likes it 11 out of 10.
Well, that's Spock.
Yeah.
You're asking me. You asked me what I would rate him. 10 out of 10.
Okay. And you, Smoking Patriot, you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah, so I got a channel, The Smoking Patriot. It's been kind of dormant. Was going through a lot of life stuff, but stuff's starting to settle down steadily. So in the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping to get up on the live streams again and whatnot. Have both of y'all appear and everything if you're wanting to, depending on what the topic is. But yeah, so right now I have channel Smoking Patriot. When you put it in, make sure you put the underscore. So it's the_smoking_patriot. Because if you don't, it might not show up as high on the search when you do it. So make sure you put the underscores. But yeah, so right now live streams are upcoming. Don't have exact dates yet. Like I said, my life's been pretty chaotic. Pacific knows a little bit and whatnot. So but yeah. So that's what I got right now.
And how would you rate the Identity Parts 1 and 2?
I'm trying to wonder if I should do this in a Kirk voice.
You absolutely should. You have to now.
Well, I can't let Spock just take all the glory. So I'm going to rate these a 11.5 out of 10.
You hear that, Spock? He likes it more than you. And so, all right. Well, thanks, Smoking Patriot. I mean, once again, this 2-parter blew me away when I first saw it when it came out. Watched it on Hulu. I did not watch it aired. So, basically, these are up. This 2-parter, along with About a Girl, is some of the top television I've ever seen. So, this would definitely be a 10 out of 10. So I like it as much as Pacific does. But I don't like it nearly as much as, I guess I don't like it as much as Smoking Patriot and Spock do. So, but that's where I'm at. I mean, this is great shows. I can't wait for season 3. I can't wait to see how they follow up some of these plots that some of these characters. I hope we see Lokar again. One thing I'm wondering if Topa is going to be, is going to have a little arc of his own. Maybe he'll become friends with Ty. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
And I want to see Lieutenant Dan, have his moment to shine. Not just.
I want to hear him go. No.
Yeah, that's actually I do. It'd be hilarious if he did do that. So, but I love this, and I'm going to end the show on this quote from Offnix. He says, "The Orville is the Star Trek we needed for a long time," and he is right on the money. Because once again, I've said this show, Orville, is the proper heir apparent to Star Trek. And I literally asked this, and I literally asked this in or I'm going to mention this in my future video. So I'm going to plug myself. So 2 projects I'm going to be working on. One is I just streamed all of Super Mario RPG from the Super Nintendo. I'm going to be making a retrospective about that. So they'll be coming up hopefully soon. I have to write it. So that's where I'm at right now. And my project after that is going to be a layman's guide to the Orville, where I'm going to be introducing the Orville to people that haven't seen it. So I'm unfortunately going to have to mention new Treks in this video. So that's going to be my next thing. And hopefully they'll convince some people to go watch the Orville. So I see we have another person in the chat. Cam's here. It says, "Hail to us all." So thanks for coming by. We're almost done now. So you guys have any last things you want to say, or are you guys good?
Actually, I was going to say, when you plug yourself as a wrestling fan, we call that a cheap pop. You're going for that cheap pop.
Yep. So Offnex says, Pacific 414 says, "Do you have a YouTube link to that Nerdporeal guy? Never heard of him." Hey! I'm triggered now.
Oh no, he's gonna read about it on Twitter right now.
I've never heard of. Yeah, Nerdporeal. Yeah, I've never heard of him either. I hear he's a hack. You think Ryan Johnson and Alex Kurtzman are bad? This Nerdporeal guy is just like. He's the lowest hanging fruit, if there ever was a lowest hanging fruit. So, but enough of me making fun of myself. It's just I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy that we had this. I can't wait for next week, where we'll conclude season 2. So next week we're going to be covering episodes 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So that's going to be a lot. So are you guys ready for the next one?
I'm definitely ready.
Yeah, I figured like this week it would not be a good idea to have anything past Identity, because Identity, if you're going to end it well, you have to end it on Identity. So, but yeah, other than that, guys, everyone, thanks for joining the stream. Thanks for participating in the chat, supporting. Thank you guys, Spock. I know if you're listening, Spock, thank you for coming by. Mike, thank you for joining, and same with you, Smoking Patriot. Thank you for being my double secret special guest star on short notice.
You're welcome, brother, and thanks for having me on. It was an honor to be here, and it was a lot of fun.
So one thing I do want to say is when the Orville does come back on, I want to have, since the reason why I started this little sci-fi chat was so that I want to build to when this Orville comes out, and I want to have an after show. So depending on whether you guys are available right away, because I want to do this like the day of the show dropping. I just want to, just talk about the Orville and stuff. So that's why I'm doing this. So thanks guys for supporting this. And of course, what's Punkwild saying? Mike, thanks for putting in the links as well. I was being lazy and got used to Jake D being the hype man earlier. So I think Punkwell's got to step it up a little. Nerdporeal. So, okay, everybody. Everyone, have a good night.
Take care.
Take care, everybody.